So you just got home from a nice evening with your wife feeding rats, and you thought, oh, I think I'll make a YouTube video to wind down. Let me just check my bank account. Oh, you mean there's not $45,000 in there? I can't make a video now? Today we talk about it. Is gear too high end? Like, we just want some stuff. That Nikon 800mm, is that cheap? I mean, maybe compared to Canon's diamond welded gold mounted lens.
All I want is the perfect camera. All I want is the perfect camera.
We're doing it. I thought I'd give it a shot. We got a monopod. Oh man, the stable footage today. Are you gonna believe that? It's a pain in the ass to carry, although it balances okay. If you're just holding it like that, it's got a bit of a counterbalance. Just that thing might stick your girlfriend in the eye if she's behind me. Don't send her here. We're on the Olympus EM1 Mark III with the little Laowa 7.5mm, and you'll notice if you walk carefully enough, there's no warpy corners. Maybe they'll grace our presence slightly, but it's not annoying. It's stable enough. Move on with your life. Oh God, where is it? There's a robin. So I don't know what the hell happened to the price of gear. This was before the hyperinflation, where everything, even strawberries, are $10 a foot. Something's going on in the camera industry. They realize that smartphones have killed off most of what they do, so they're shooting for the higher end folk, the snobby ones who they eat cereal with diamonds, diamond spoons, and this is the market they're after. People who wipe their ass with paper mache. It ain't right. This is too high end. The Canons, we just wanted like a Canon RP that wasn't completely crippled. I adjusted the lighting. But you give us nothing. You charge $4,500 used for a Canon R5 that overheats and underperforms, and autofocus is worse than a Panasonic in bed with a Japanese lawyer. It ain't right. I just missed a shot of a woodpecker, by the way, due to the time it took to set up this bullshit monopod. That's a moment that was forever lost into the ether. So let's just talk about this Nikon 800mm. It's actually, I want it, but I looked up the price in Canada, $8,500 plus tax, 13% tax. If I want a Z9 and that, we're talking $17,500. I could buy a trailer and live for free, kind of, without electricity. I'd freeze in the winter and my dead body would be found. What? That's too high, and that's cheap compared to the Canon? Oh my God, I stopped in poor lighting situations. It's not even cheap. Canon, you effed up by making that, what is it, an 800 5.6 for like Canada, I don't know, 20 grand plus tax? Like, that was a bad move. Nikon is undercutting you hard for a little, like a third of a tonne gone. Nobody notices a third of a tonne. A little third of a tonne could sneak into your house, take your cheese. You'd never notice it. So well done, Nikon, for staying relevant. I mean, it looks like a fantastic option. It's just, in my opinion, primes, yes, it's the ultimate thing. A prime is sharper than a zoom, but the versatility of a zoom for wildlife is undeniable. 800mm, your closest focusing distance is 5 meters. Do you know how far that is in life? Like, if you see anything, it's likely within 5 meters. So many times, like the Canon Tony 11 is a 6 meter minimum focus. It was unusable. It's the worst part of that lens. Ain't nobody talking about it. Just a bunch of Nikon shill boys. I was watching all the reviews. Thank you all so much for all the video footage. Thank you for including that. Not one freak. I watched like 7 videos. Nobody had video footage. It was just a couple photos. Why? I had to go watch Ricky Talks, the Nikon shill boy of the century. At least he had some footage. I like his videos, don't get me wrong. He makes good content, but he's all Nikon, like he's an ambassador of some sort. You can't trust these ambassadors. They're never going to say anything bad about the product, or they don't get the new release early. Your mom released you early. So if I'm looking at that Nikon Z system, yes, you're gonna have animal eye detect, probably much sharper than this Fuji footage, but is it gonna be worth it? You see something close to you, you miss the shot, you're like, oh wow, 17 grand and I can't catch that. You feed a chipmunk, it's coming close to you, oh shit, I can't get it. Oh, that's a bitch. You can only see far off zebras. What channel is that? Your zebra channel. I hope you get 14 subs taken from you, from the algorithm. The crazy thing is all this expensive gear is because of smartphone paranoia. Who the hell uses smartphones? They suck so bad. They're so unnatural looking. Maybe our new generation likes that. They like LED lights instead of tungsten. You like that color? That bright white flickering high intensity bulb? What happened to candles? I've always been a fan of really cheap stuff that's like almost as good as the expensive counterpart. That's what gear should be. Not this high-end Leica shit. But man, that Nikon, I was thinking of this, 800 6.3, that's very close to the Sony 200 to 600, because that's a 6.3 at 600, but you also get 400 mils to play with. You're a little short on the long end. She told me that once. I denied it. I think the Sony, you'd have better footage, even though the closest focus, I think it's 2.4 meters. It's much better, still not great. That's a good feature to have. The Fuji 70 to 300 is like a macro lens. I could get something right there. I bet this is almost as good. Kind of. But just to get the vlogging features I wanted, we had to jump up to a Sony a7S III to get my 240 frames per second with reliable autofocus. It's not right. We should be in the market of like Olympus EM5 and like a budget wide lens, like an 8mm 2.8 prime, cheap, but with 3D pop LED. I'm worried that this Fuji X-H2S is gonna be super high-end, at least $3,000 American, 3,500 Canadian plus tax, $4,000 minimum. I can't wait for it. That might be a pre-order. I don't know, man. I like this so much that if it improves with some nice autofocus and slightly better specs, 4K 180p, you might have a purchase on your hands. I saw the Canon RF 100 to 500 for 2,900 Canadian, and I was like, wow, that's like almost 1,000 off. But it had a scratch on the front element. I was like, will it show up? It might be worth it. Then I'd have to buy a Canon camera. I'm down 40 grand. But there's too much money being asked for with your equipment that's less than capable of my older Panasonic G85. So get your shit together, companies. I don't care what anyone says. Stabilization is number one for pleasing footage. I don't care how expensive your full frame glasses and your Sony a7C. You're like, yes. And it's so shaky, it's unwatchable. Whereas little micro four thirds, so much more pleasing to watch. You get enough background blur. Here's news flash for you. Everything in the background is more interesting than you. So just show some of it. Blurring it out, you cut out the most interesting part. You're not the hero of this story. The people around waving at the camera are. So pass your savings on to us. I'm hoping to see Fuji X-H2S pretty cheap, fairly affordable. That 150 to 600, somehow they made it pretty light and very cheap. That'll be nice. A Nikon Z9 II that is much smaller. A Z6 III, cheap. Where's their 200 to 600, something like that? I'd rather see a 300 to 750 if you had it. Olympus, you have the best lens on earth, most expensive wildlife. You don't have a camera worthy of it. And if you did, you would charge too much. So where's my OM2? Cheaper than the one with better features. There's a tennis ball. That can't be good. Where's my Canon EOS R Mark II with 240 frames per second and Canon Color Science? Reliable autofocus. If you ask Olympus how to do it, or Nikon, because you no longer lead the industry, you never did. Just a bunch of fake YouTubers lied and said it was good for 3 seconds of their 40-second bullshit promotion. What's that? A man and a dog. Where's the owl? Where's the owl in that equation? This really sucks, by the way. Holding this, and I gotta switch hands. I can't do anything. I can't like put this down easy. I stop recording, put it in the clip, and then I haven't got any shots. Not once. I don't deserve the expensive gear, even if it was cheap. I get it. But pass the savings on to us. Care about us, and we'll care about your bank and deposit money into it in exchange for gear. But give us 2. If I order a lens for that price, there better be 2 on the way. I'm gonna leave. Do you agree? Too high end? They're focusing on way too high end because they're afraid of smartphones. It's like being an elephant afraid of a mouse. Just step on the thing. It's so unnatural and it's oversaturated and oversharpened. Not one image has come out in the last 40 years from a smartphone that I thought, like, wow, I need to buy that. Except the Huawei P40 Pro in 7,680 frames per second. It's been a while. I hope I get something. Maybe a turtle doing this. Can you imagine that? 7,000 frames. Wow. I'm gonna leave. Thanks for buying a Camera Conspiracies t-shirt. How was the Olympus today? Of course it was amazing. It never falters unless you turn towards the sun. It's a rookie mistake. Subscribe.